this is kind of our microgreens growing room, this area. We designed this to have a big glass front that is sloped so that we do get sunshine in here in the summertime. It's not so much that it hasn't been a real problem with the building overheating. There's been a few days, but we went through a really hot summer and it wasn't a major problem. We do need sun in here in the summertime to grow. Particularly the shoots need sun. They need direct sunlight or light direct sunlight. And because of chipmunks, squirrels, and lots of other reasons, they don't really grow well in a greenhouse or nearly as well as they do inside here. And so basically we set this up to have lots of room to we start seedlings in the spring, grow microgreens in the winter and all year round. And this is all on a radiant heated concrete slab. We have floor drains in kind of every section of the building so that we can we can wash things and it can go right down the drain and makes for easy cleaning. All those are direct to daylight drains. And in the wintertime, when the sun angle gets low in the sky, at the height of our production in kind of February and March, we can grow microgreens all the way back to where I'm standing here if we need to. So we have room for a lot of production in here. And then good spaces on the back wall here. This is where we stack our microgreen trays for germinating. Do all of our seeding and planting for planting seedlings in the springtime. It's kind of basically a potting table, but used year round for planting microgreens. Places to store bins of soil. And then we kind of designed the whole downstairs wash pack part of the building to have easily accessible water for coming out of the ceiling. So if we want to change hose locations, we have the option to do that, so we have flexibility. Or even if we wanted to add a sink somewhere, like a cold sink somewhere, we could do that. This is our packing area. This is where primarily just used for packing greens. And this table system works really well for us. Really easy to clean, sanitize. Labels are all kind of right there where people need them. And 4 people can bag and wash greens in a fairly small space pretty efficiently. And everything's on wheels so we can move it to clean and do have some space for box storage underneath, that kind of things. So we've been really happy with this area just because it's pretty compact and does a lot of work. This is where, probably $80,000 worth of our farm product comes through this table. And so that works out pretty well. And then as we go back here, this is eventually going to be our walk-in cooler. We just didn't get to it this summer. And we until midsummer, didn't have enough solar power to really run it. But now we have enough solar power that we're going to be able to run an air conditioner with a cool bot. So that'll be a winter project to build a door for this and have this more functional. And that's going to make the building really live up to its full function. So people don't have to carry stuff back and forth to our existing root cellar. Let's see. This is our washroom here. So this is the only part of the building where we have washable surfaces on the walls. There's a lot of water sprayed around in here, so we just thought that would be easier, and it was actually pretty economical use of money. This particular material, truss core, can be put right on studs, so it was actually almost cheaper than any other wall surface we could have put down besides for painted plywood. And it wasn't much cheaper than painted plywood, or it wasn't much more expensive than painted plywood by the time you buy paint and all that kind of stuff. So we've got a wash table here, and then all of these carts, which are kind of our wash and spray tables, get transferred into a pack out station when CSA and custom orders are packed out. So they just wheel right out into the main room, and then they get their double duty as our pack out station later. And then we have our greens washing station here. We do a triple wash. We have 3 bins. We still have some work to do in this process. We're going to install drains in our bins and and then convert some more washing machines so that we have a basket that we can remove. We did convert some, but they broke, and so back to straight old washing machine, which is fine. And this building has this room has a little bit to finish up. It's mostly finished, but we're really happy with, again, all the water placement, all the spigots that come down from the ceilings, and having a place be washable, having walls be washable was a lot better than we thought it was going to be. It's just really easy to clean. We still have yet to trim the windows and get those sealed. That'll be a winter project, and once that's done, that's going to really make it nice in here. The floor, like all of our floors, slope down to a trench drain in here, and then that goes through 4-inch sewer pipe out to a concrete box, basically, that has a little well in the bottom that collects all the dirt that can be dug out later. So because we do such a high volume of greens and a lower volume of dirty root vegetables and such, we don't have any problem with dirt building up in our drains or in our pipes. It's all kind of going and clean out and we're able to clean out of that well that's located outside. That's just like a concrete box, and about 4 inches up from the bottom of that box, a culvert goes out, and that's where our drain water leaves. So we've been pretty happy with that. Pretty much no maintenance. I have pulled up the drain covers this summer, and they haven't even needed to be cleaned in there, because because we're washing greens, there's a really high percentage of water to everything else. And then we have kind of rolling racks where we can dry our post-harvest containers in here, and that's a really helpful part of it. Soon we're gonna, even with our harvest containers, they're gonna come in and they're gonna be stacked dirty onto a cart, and then that cart's gonna be rolled outside so that harvest containers are washed outside as well, and that's gonna take some of the moisture pressure off the building, just because if that doesn't get done right after we're done, then the building starts to dry out, and then you end up washing a bunch of containers and getting it wet again. And we basically deal with moisture in this building, which is a super insulated, air sealed building, by having the 3rd story window open about the same amount of airflow as our 2 4-inch floor drains. So we basically open it the same amount and so we have fresh air coming in through the floor drains, which go to daylight, and then that's replacing the moist air, which is going up. And it's not perfectly efficient, but because the spacing is the same, even in the 3rd floor, it doesn't even feel cold, even if it's -10 out in the middle of winter, because you're getting an exact air exchange and not a draft running through. So that works really well.
Has condensation been an issue, or has that been enough airflow to keep it
That's
dry?
Completely solved everything. We maintain probably like a 45 to 50 degree or 50% humidity, which is fine. That's good level for our microgreens. We haven't had no issues with condensation or mold, unless as soon as we shut that upstairs window. A long-term solution to that would be a proper air recirculation system, but that requires a power demand that because we're off-grid, we don't want to bother dealing with right now. But in the future we might, or if anybody ever were to live in the upper floors, they would probably want, because it's an air-sealed building, would want to put in an air recirc system.
Sure.
Which don't take a lot of power, but when you're off-grid, every little bit counts.
It takes constant power.
It's constant power,
Yeah.
It's constant load, yep. So this is just kind of standard epoxy-coated food-safe shelving. Generally, epoxy-coated shelving is sold for areas where there's going to be high moisture loads, like walk-in coolers and stuff like that. So we thought it would hold up better to the spray table. And we've heard reports that the epoxy surface actually wears pretty well too, and it lasts a long time. So we basically will, if we're doing small batches of root vegetables or bunch things, we just lay them out on the table, spray them off. Water falls flu onto the floor and goes into the floor drain. And that's basically it. And if we want to spray something and spray the wall behind it, we can, which is nice, because sometimes you are spraying stuff where you want the hose at that angle to get into a bunch of root vegetables. Sometimes you want to spray like that, and you're going to be spraying the wall. So yeah, that's basically how this works. And then these two carts here are kind of holding stations, and they were just, I think we bought like one extra set of wheels. We just had leftover shelving from our other shelving units. So these were they ended up being, really cheap for us to do because they were kind of leftover pieces from other shelving units that we had. And they work really well, as I said before, for pack out later and then just as a holding station. And we can put dirty bins on the lower shelf if we need to. And we found that just having everything on wheels, which was our vision, both Heidi and I are getting older. We've been farming and homesteading particularly for a long time. Farming's hard, homesteading is even harder on your body. And we've really designed our farm so we do a lot less of that repetitive work and have more employees to share the load. We've changed our systems too. We didn't want to hire employees and have them do the same things that were hard on our bodies. So we've tried to make much more of the work upright, but having things on wheels is just one step for us to be able to look into the next 20 years and envision farming for the next 20 years.